And here I'll show you my steam box setup. So this is just some cedar fencing planks that are screwed together. I don't have any insulation, but I'm going to wrap it in some drop cloth just to kind of give it a little bit more mass around it. In the back, I've just got the steamer hose shoved in there. This is not the steam bending one from Rockler. This is just an actual drywall steamer that I bought at a local hardware store. I think it was Ace. And then I just have a dado in the front that I slide this into. So it's pretty quick. I think the flip front is better, but this is what I made when I built it. And I've got it sitting on a piece of foam just to help it prevent from dripping on my bench. Usually I do this outside and I don't care about the excess water, but I'm gonna do it in the shop just for the video's sake. And so we'll shove these three guys in there. These are about 1/4 inch thick, maybe a little thinner. I'm gonna bend them without a strap because they're so thin. So usually you steam for about an hour per inch. These are 1/4 or less, so technically I only need 15 minutes, but I'm gonna give them at least 30 or maybe 45 before I bend them. The longer, the better, really. I don't think you can really overdo it. Some people on YouTube do as much as like 8 hours of bending for more extreme bends, but kiln dried wood especially, and that's what this is. So it's good bending wood because it's quarter sawn, but it's bad bending wood in the sense that it's kiln dried. So I do want to give it plenty of steam time, kind of go excessive so that we keep it that way. And then I need to keep it clamped up while it dries. So what I'm going to do is clamp them onto my form, and then when they're out, or when I've got it in its shape, I'm ready to put the next one on. What I'll do is I'll clamp another clamp on there and hold it in its shape and pull it off and keep it in that bend off of the actual bending form, just so that it can get the air penetration all around it and free up the bending form for me to make another bend. So yeah, let me get some more water in this. You can hear it heating up, but it's a little low in water. And we'll get this in here and give it 45 minutes. So in they go. In the front here, I have a little dowel for things to stick on. I'm gonna set them all upright where they can essentially breathe in the steam as freely as possible. Also note that my steam box is tilted backwards so that the steam will rise toward the front where most of the action is that I'm looking for, and the water as it cools will go toward the back and drip out. There's a little bit of room for drippage back there. So let me get this wrapped up, and they're in there, and I'm gonna fill this up with water and give it some time. And so let me set my timer. I'm gonna go ahead and set 45 minutes, but really the timer should start after it's fully steamed up, and this one's nowhere close yet. So probably we'll reset that timer as soon as I see it actually billowing steam. So you can see here that I've wrapped my steamer box, and you can hear the boiling of the water, so it's getting there. This is getting hot to the touch. And I have inserted a smoker meat probe in here so I can watch the temperature. And this connects to my phone too, so I can go in the house and watch when it reaches that 212, or if there's any pressure in here, it might be a little bit hotter than 212, but never know whether it's actually gonna get to where it starts steaming or not. I don't see any steam in here. It says it's 65 in there right now, so no steam quite making it out of this and into the chamber yet, but I'll be able to watch that, and yeah, I'll be back when it gets hot enough and runs for a little bit. And in the meantime, I'm going to get my clamping form and some clamps ready. And generally it takes 3 clamps for me to get this on. Well, I usually clamp it in the middle where it's balanced, and then I'll clamp on each side, and that'll get it into its final shape. So I should be able to just take it out, put it on there, and be done in like 20-30 seconds, and hopefully that will make it quick enough and have some successful bends. If not, I'll have to make some parts again because I only made just enough to match the sizes. That's one issue with having parts that aren't quite the same all throughout, is you might have to make another one from scratch to match the hole exactly. And I can hear it burping that steam into there, and it's rapidly rising. So right now it's at 81, 84, 87. So it is increasing very quickly in there. And water boils at 212, so I'm really hoping to get it up to that. It might not reach that temperature. But I just recently cut this steam box down to a smaller size, and hopefully that means that the steam will get in there hot and it will build enough pressure to go a little bit above 212, but we'll see. All right, 121. Man, this is increasing so fast. That's like 40 degrees since I started talking. 130, 133, 136, 139. Man, that's fast. So it's been a couple minutes, and now we're up to 194 and still increasing. So I'm excited to see what this caps out at. Okay, we are now at 210, and I'm excited to see if we actually reach 212. 211, We'll see if we can get that last degree and actually get to maintain that full heat in here. 212, all right. So at this point, I'm going to reset my timer and give it a full 45 minutes before I bend. All right, I'm back, and it's been over 45 minutes. My shop is pretty humid. This has been at 214 the entire time, so we've held some pressure. And now I'm going to get prepared for the bend. So I'm gonna use my kitchen glove, make sure I don't burn myself on this hot water. Or really, the steam is my problem. And I'm gonna bend one and get it into its shape, and then give it a couple minutes and keep these in the steamer while we're getting ready for the next bend. So yeah, here we go. Get my clamps where I can get everything on there quickly. And on my bending form, I do have a midpoint designated, and these have the midpoint drawn on them. So let me get one, close it back up, and once it's out there, I feel like I can handle it with my bare hands. I don't need the glove. And this is such a mild bend. It's been steaming for so long, I don't anticipate any problems. Oh, that was easy. Okay, look at that. Oh, except I'm crooked, so let me adjust. Still a little bit crooked. There we go. It would be nice to have a second bending form, but this is the job done. And basically what I can do is scoot these clamps over in a minute, where I can get this clamp on at the length of the arc, and pull it off and retain that same bend as we get ready for the next one. So pull off this middle clamp. Just gonna wiggle this guy over. Same thing over here. Not sure if you'll be able to see it, but I'm just gonna try to get this clamp onto the ends and then undo the other two, so I can get free. This is not the most graceful thing ever, but you can see I still have it clamped in that same shape. This is how I'm going to dry it. I've just got it in this clamp. And now the bending form is free for another clamp. So get my clamps back in a good spot. Starting point. Ooh, hot. There's number 2. Line it up. This time I'm going to try to make sure it's not crooked. Clampy, this is hot. My temperature dropped to 205 with that door open. It sounds like my steamer is actually shut off. Okay, but now this is in the right spot. I'm just gonna make myself the room to get another clamp on the outsides like we did before. So I'm just gonna show the camera again. I've got the board accessible from the outside. It's clamped on this form. At this point, I can take the middle clamp off. And I have enough clearance to get this clamp. I'm gonna go like this. I can secure a second clamp onto the ends, and then pull the blue clamps off. And basically retain my bend. Maybe even give it an extra squeeze. And that should hold my bend while it cools and dries overnight. And I'm not sure how long I'll leave these, maybe a day or two. Because they're such small bends, I think they'll hold pretty well. But these can now be set aside. And I've got just one more. So get these ready again. my steamer shut off. I guess it ran out of water just in time. So I really need to get this bit quick. But now I'll pull out my temperature probe. I've got all 3 of my bends done, so we'll come back and we'll see what those look like. I'll just give you a close-up. So here's my last bend. It's just a subtle bend around. And here are my other 2. Nice. And nice. And I like that they can breathe in this clamping configuration. That's a little bit better than, sorry, my temperature probe's in the way, a little bit better than being stuck where it can only breathe on one side of the bend. So, yeah. So I just recently pulled these out of their drying forms, and I did have to replace one, and you'll see this is how I kind of keep them drying. So I've got one of those Rockler Betsy clamp holders, and I can just like leave it on the shelf clamped up, and it can breathe on both sides, and that helps the drying process happen a little bit faster. But this guy ended up being too short, so my measurement was wrong on the bottom slat. So I did end up replacing it basically the day after. And so this is the original one that we bent up on camera. But I now have all 3 of my pieces ready to go. I did end up having some swelling on the tenons, so some of them were a little bit tight when you test them into mortises. And all I did was took a spoke shave to those and shaved them until they fit just right. And now let's do our dry assembly of the back slat. So here's the lowest rung. So this is still in my ratchet strap clamp, but it's loose enough that I can wiggle it a little bit. So I'm just going to try to fit this in on one side for all 3 of them. Here's the middle. Looks like it's lining up okay. And here's the upper one. And these should be basically the same right side up and upside down. So I'm not being critical of which one goes where. And I do plan to glue these in on final assembly. So if there's, look, this bottom one is a little bit loose. But once there's glue in there, and I'll probably peg them as well, that will bring everything together. So there we go. So here's the final form. I like the more dramatic backrest. Love the recurve for the back. So there we go. So the last thing we have to do for the wood construction before we do an actual glue up is I want to get some lower stretchers on here just to add some extra strength because I have kids. So we'll do one on the back and then one on each of the sides, and we'll leave the front open because I like the legs to be able to go under the chair. This is probably strong enough to last without. I've had chairs that just had the one domino in the back leg before, and they've survived many years, but they were oak. And I'm not sure how much force they got on them compared to this one that's going to have to endure some kids. So I want to add that lower stretcher just for the extra strength. But otherwise, the wood construction is done. We'll do a glue up, and then I'm going to do kind of a false pin of the back slats at the end as kind of a decorative element, but also semi-structural. And then after that, we'll weave a seat, and we'll put some finish on it, and then we'll weave a seat, and then this guy will be done.